Ready?
She moved on me.
Well,
It's fine. Let's go.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Edna, some of the questions I'm going to ask you are going to be very easy. My first question is, what is your name and when were you born?
1913,
And,
December the 20th.
and what is your name?
My name, Edna Edna Ipson. My maiden name was Butrimovich. It means Edna B. Ipson.
Okay. Where were you born?
In Trakai, near to Vilna. You got there in the book, what we found there.
And can you tell me the names of your father and mother and sisters and brothers and tell me how long you had lived in Traka?
After the war, I remember that my mother moved from Landverove to Kaunas. I was there a little girl at that time when she moved. That was, I think, in 1927. No, in 1925.
So you lived in
And
Traka.
we lived in Kaunas.
And before Kaunas, you lived in. Before Kaunas, you lived in
I told you Landverove.
Ladvarova.
Right, that is about 17 kilometers from Vilna.
Right. How long had your family lived in Ladvarova?
Well, like I said, until 1923. And from then, we moved to Kovne, to Kaunas. The reason why, because my uncle and my grandmother was living there. They didn't live in Kovne, but they had a very big farm. And that's what I remember, that we were there until we moved to Kovne. And my mother has to move the children. We were 5 children. So that's the way we came to Kovne from Landverove. And that was after the war. And it was in I couldn't remember exactly the year, 1923 or 1924.
So after World War I, you went.
We had there a house in Landverove, and we gave up and we moved there closer to the grandmother, to my mother's mother.
Okay, you're going to stop just for 1 minute.
I'm sorry, this is just...
And let me ask a question while we're stopping. You went from Ladvarova to your uncle's farm, and from the farm to Kovno?
And the
So
far, if you want,
Okay. So you said that you moved from Ladvarova to the farm, and
Right.
then from the farm.
now, let me explain to you something else. Why we moved to Landverove, why we moved from Landverove. Because my father, we had a slaughterhouse and a meat market, you know. And when my father died, we were very little children, little bitty ones. Then my mother remarried for a cousin in the family with the same name. His name was Hanania. And that's the reason that we moved out. And my uncle, his name is Yitzhak, and he lives right now in Rehovot. And he had a very big farm from dairy that they used to make. And they decided that we should move to Kovne instead to be there. And that's the way we came to Kovna. So by being a couple of years with the grandmother and the children, then my mother found there a house with my stepfather. And then they took all the children and brought them to Kovna. And by being in Kovna, my aunt Betsy was her name, Bessie Brown, she asked my mother with what she can help her. And my mother told her that the only thing if she can help is to take about 2 children, if she can, to raise them. So my oldest brother, his name was Al, buried, we changed. And then my sister, her name is Sadie. And they came, I don't remember the year, but I think they left in 1927. I remember that my brother wasn't even bar mitzvah, maybe he was. And they came to America. And my Aunt Bessie, she raised them.
I understand. Aunt Bessie's the one who had come to the United States?
Yeah. And she came as a single girl. And she was here, she got married here for Mr. A. Brown.
So that leaves your mother with how many children in Kovno?
In Kovna, myself and a sister and a brother and 2 brothers.
And can you tell me your mother's name and your sister
Esther,
and brother?
Chaye, Esther.
And your brother and sister?
And my brother, Fable, Nina, and Chaim, and myself. We were 4 of us.
Edna, when you were growing up, did they call you Edna?
Yeah, they used to call me Etele. And then when I came here, I changed my name to Edna.
What language did you speak?
Yiddish,
Did you
Lithuanian, Russian, and Polish. Polish I learned, you know, there when we were, my grandmother, where she has a farm. So there was a school teacher, she used to teach me Polish. And then when I grew up, you know, I used to go to school, and we used to learn there Yiddish. I finished the Yiddish school
What was the name of the school you went to?
in,
What? Kaunas?
no, it's not Tabush, I forgot.
Well, it doesn't matter. If you,
Yeah,
you can tell
it's
us.
not important.
Would you like to tell me something about your Jewish life as you were growing up?
It was a wonderful life. It was a life of happiness. Everything was so free. Everything was so wonderful. You didn't have the anti-Semitism until 1935, the way you had before. I got married when I was 1932. I met my husband in 1928 when he finished high school. To describe you the life the way it was, it never can be again. I had my people, I had my parents, I had my sister. Everything was so wonderful, bright, beautiful. Get up in the morning with a smile and sing and dance. And we used to go out, you know, we used to get together, you know, with the school uh, people, you know. And we used to go in different places, you know, to take us, you know, like in Mabel, you know, when we were in school. Klaipede, the way, you know. And the life was very sweet. It was very, very wonderful to describe your culture, the newspapers, the books, the authors. It's, you had for everything time.
Can you tell me something about your Jewish life or the synagogue?
Well,
or
I
bar
tell you,
mitzvah?
the Jewish life, it's unbelievable to describe when it used to come Friday night. The people used to go in shul, you know, in temple. And Friday night, you had, you know, a rich section. You had medium people, you had poor people. The poor people mostly, you know, was in Slobodke, there where the ghetto was. And you know, when it used to come about 5 o'clock, or that was in the winter time, in the summertime, you know, it was around 6 o'clock, the way somebody used to come and knock in the doors from the stores. It's time to go Leerbenchen. It's time to go to light the candles, close the store. And everybody was rushing. They used to close the store in time. And everybody was rushing to go home. You used to come home. You used to see every little place, even the poor people. They didn't have, you know, such a wonderful apartments, you know, the living. But always, you know, it was clean. They used to take sand and put it up, you know. And the candles used to light. And no matter how poor or rich, in each window, the candle was lighting. The fish was smelling. Everybody used to prepare, you know, the dinners for Shabbos, for Friday night. And when the father used to come at home, he used to live like a king. Everybody used to have such a respect for father. And the challah, you know, like he used to put it up on the table. And the way he used to make the brochas, you know, the blessing over the challah. And the children around the table. And everybody was so happy. It was such a beautiful life that's really, in my life, I miss the Friday night. Saturdays, I used to go to shul again, to temple. And you know, it was very religious. They used to make Friday night a cholent. You know what a cholent is? And then when Father used, all of them, it not only myself, but the whole community there, used to run to get, you know, the cholent for Shabbos. And what you think was there? All the goodies, when you are young, you could eat. Potatoes and meat and kishki, you know. And then Father used to come from temple, I tell you. All the children was just making, you know, a place that Daddy is coming. And some of the children, I used to go myself to pick up the cholent, you know, from the bakery. And Daddy used to make, you know, the prayers, you know, over wine or something. And we were eating, and everybody was quiet. When we were eating, nobody could talk, because it has to be quiet. After you finish the dinner, it started up again. We started reading the newspaper, or we started reading a book. And everybody was so happy, all the children. It was like one in the family. We respect very highly our parents. We respect the other people too. But at home, that was just, it's hard to describe the feeling that we had at home. And when it used to come a holiday like Pesach, who can describe the beauty, the sweet, the way you used to ask the fair kashes, you know. And everybody was so happy. And the next day, you used to take some nuts, you know. And the weather was beautiful, shiny, and everybody used to come with the nuts, and we used to play nuts, walnuts. Some of them were losing, some of them were winning. It was, I tell you, it was such a life that I don't think so, that life will come back again like it was there in Lithuania.
It sounds to me like you were in a whole Jewish neighborhood.
Yeah, we were in a Jewish neighborhood. We were living in Slobodka, not in Kovne, where the ghetto was. And a life like that, the most respect for the people at home, for the parents. You cannot see anymore that. You cannot. And the goodness and the smile, it is a time that it will never come back again.
Do you remember?
Never. Because I remember everybody, Saturday or Friday night, everybody used to put on some new clothes, you know, change the clothes, and fix themselves up, you know, like when Daddy used to come from temple, and Mother used to look so beautiful in the clothes, and the children, whatever you had, used to change, and the candles on the table, and the challah and the fish, and it was smelling so good when you used to walk in, that you could see really the Jewish life. Here you don't see anymore. And when you walk out after dinner, you know, and you walk in the street, you take a walk, and you see in each window, you see the candles lighting. That feeling will never be again.
And when you got married to Israel,
Yeah.
did you have a few years living like that?
Yeah, sure.
Where did you live when you got married? Did you live?
I live in the same thing in Slobodka.
Did you have an apartment?
With his parents, sure. I had an apartment, and Izzy at that time was studying a little law. And that is the picture I'll show you where the motorcycles was. That was in the house. And then I had, Jay was born.
What year?
Jay was born in 1935. And then in 1940, I had a little girl. I lost the little girl because when the war started, we were running. We thought we'll go to Russia, you know. It's not only ourselves, but it was a whole lot of people too with us. And we came to Janeve. That was a little town. When we came to Janeve, it's no more, we couldn't go because the German soldiers already were there and we couldn't go further. So we have to go back. On the way back, we didn't have any food. I got in by a farmer there, and she gave a little bit milk for the child. And I think she got dysentery, you know, she took sick. to come home. If I have to tell you everything from the beginning, the way it was, it'll take you maybe 4 or 5 hours or more than that. But fortunately, we were lucky. We were lucky when we were going back home. And we got in the right place, where the Lithuanian people didn't grab the people and send them to the 9th Fort. There was a kazarme, how you say?
The Tsarist.
Huh?
The Tsarist forts.
It was there made when the Russians, had the war, and there was big for soldiers, and they were taking all the Jewish people with the children, with everybody, and they sent over there. Fortunately, we got at home, we started up 5 o'clock. And 5 o'clock, nobody was on the way. And that's the way, we survived to come home, and they couldn't catch us.
And did your baby come?
Then the baby took sick. And I had some doctors coming, It's already started up the ghetto. And we couldn't survive. She couldn't survive because I didn't have the right medicine. Maybe it wouldn't be the war. Maybe she would be alive.
Let's go back
When we came home, our house was on Veljonosgatve. I didn't recognize my father. He was dark, like you were right now. And when we came back, that happened only 4 days, when we were, on the road, he was white like paper. What did happen at that time? All on the street, Veljonosgatve and Panierogatve, they slaughtered out 400 people. Everybody they killed, no matter children grown. And they came to our house too. And fortunately, my father was lucky because he said, let's close up everything, the house, and let's get up on the attic. So they knocked in the door, nobody answered. And that's the way, they survived. They took the rabbis, he was on not Panier, but Yuberikagar, and they took and cut him off the head, and took the head and put it up on the table.
Did you see that?
It is true. When we came back, we had seen. We had seen the places where they were killed the people. On one wall was written there with his blood, the man's blood. He took with his finger and he wrote up on the wall, please take Nekome. In Yiddish. Do you know what Nekome? Please, wait a moment, let me. That we should pay them back, that we should fight.
Revenge?
Huh?
Revenge?
It's probably like that. I don't know, I'm right now such a mist. And I have seen myself with my own eye. There was a little boy. His mother and father has been killed on Veljonosgatve. And the little boy ran in under the bed. And he survived, and he came out, and he told everybody what had happened. And that it happened in 2 weeks, the way they slaughter out the people. And that is, God help me, that is the truth what I am telling you. It's people whom I know. people whom you could see, people who used to talk to them because it was one street and I knew the people. And I have seen myself with my own eye. Would you believe it? No.
So when you came back,
That's when I came, we came back, that was 2 days before. 2 days before we came back. And then we used to go there to see the Druzy. That was really.
when you came back, you had Izzy, and you had your
Jay,
Jay was 5. How old was Jay?
huh?
How old was Jay?
How old? Jay was about 6, 7 years.
So what did you do next?
After that, we have to go in the concentration, in the ghetto. We have to leave everything that we had. We weren't too far from my mother. It was about a block away, there where we used to live. The ghetto started up from my mother's house, from my parents' house. There started up the ghetto.
So your apartment was outside the ghetto, but your mother.
That's right, but my mother was in the ghetto.
Do you remember the address? Do you remember the street number and the
Oh
street
yeah,
name?
Villonas got 1. Villonas got it. Villonas is the street number 1.
So you went to live with your mother.
And then that is a corner house, Villonas and Vigeu. The house is a corner. So it was Villonas Gatti and Vigeu Gatti. And we had a 2-storage house. And at my mother's house, when we moved in, it's moved in my husband's sister, brother-in-law, his mother and father.
So
And we were there, all of us. And we had about 3 rooms, that's all. And 1 kitchen. And everybody has to cook. And I used to go to work every day.
what was your job?
My job? Should I tell you? Will you believe it? I used to dig cables. You know the cables that they used to put in? That up to here. And to take out the earth, and you have to make a special section. I don't know how much, a half a meter or how much it was, that you have to finish in case if not you are in trouble. It is, then I used to go to the brigade to shovel coal. And then I used to go to the airport to put up cement. Then I used to go in other places where they used to dig, you know, sand to make cement, but they have to build bridges. You know, a bridge, I used to work over there. And all of a sudden I stopped. And we just stopped talking. And I said, everybody said before I go die, I like to have a Zimmer. So before I go die, I like to have a Kochale. Or you know, food. We didn't care about anything, but just a little food to have. And you wouldn't believe it if I'll tell you that the German guard came in with his rifle and hit me here over my head. And I had 6 stitches, and I was bleeding. And you know, I have to go in ghetto. It was not transportation, but you have to walk. It was about 5 miles from the place, from the ghetto concentration camp when we were. I used to run away from the place wherever I could and take off, you know, David Star. And I had long hair and I looked like a shikse. And I knew Lithuanian fluently. And I used to run away to Ged. couple slices bread for Jay, that he should have something or a few potatoes. And when I came and I had, half a loaf of bread, and I put it in my raincoat, in my pocket, and would you believe it that when I came, I didn't know where to go and what to do. I was afraid he will take away my bread for Jay we didn't have. And the guard came in and he stopped looking at me. I'm going from one brigade to the other. And he said, come here. I didn't have no choice. What have you got? I said, nothing, just a little bread. He took his hand, he took out the bread, and he beat me up. That it didn't hurt me. I was bleeding for months. You could see here on my back. It didn't hurt me, but he beat me up, but it hurts me, but I couldn't have the bread for Jay. It's more and more to talk about it. I used to go to work. My heart would miss my child, if I go find him or not.
The greatest pain as a mother is not being able to feed your child.
But I was going on. I had still the family. I had my mother, my father, my brothers, my sister. It's in 1941 was this election. We had two ghettos with the bridge over, and that was Panero Gatvi. And the first thing that it happened, that they took the little ghetto, the way it was the bridge, and they gave only 3 hours for the people to get out. Some people could, some people couldn't. My sister-in-law was there in the little ghetto. Excuse me. And when I find out what had happened, and she had a little boy, his name was Jacob. He was about 2 years old. I was running there to help her to get out. And soon we got out. They cut it off. You couldn't go out anymore. So the people who was over there, everybody was gone.
Did they know?
Nobody survived.
When they were told to get out, did they know what that meant?
No, we couldn't believe. People couldn't believe. But some Christians used to come and tell what is going on. There on the 9th fort, on the 7th fort, the way they used to prepare, graves, big ones. But who was lucky was alive, the way you pray. Rosh Hashanah, who should be alive, who should be dead. The same thing it happened here. Then, when that was finished, they took, that was before Rosh Hashanah, They took to the airport 2,500 people. So my husband, my father, and my brother, Chaim, were there too. They all three went. And about 3 o'clock, between 3 or 4 o'clock, they surround our corner and they cut it off a quarter of the ghetto. And people were living there like animals. You give them more freedom than the people in ghetto. And they walked in there in our house and he said, get out. You have to go out. I said, where? They said, everybody to look through the house, and everybody should get out. And everybody should stay in one line, four people in a line, 4 people in a line. I said, wait a moment, I want to take for my son a sliced bread. He said, don't worry, you wouldn't need any more. You go get over there plenty. And I have seen the line, people already lined up. I said, it's trouble. I know they are going to have a selection. At that time, I had my mother, my sister, my youngest brother, Fiber. I had my grandmother, and I have Jacob J. with me. The only thing that I could say is to keep my chin high, and I used to pray, Shema Yisrael, Ad Hashem Elokeinu, Ad Hashem Echad. Please, God, hear my voice, save our life. I kept my little boy for his hand, that he shouldn't get lost. He went to his grandmother, and he said, Bobenu. You know what Bobenu means? My little heart tells me that he wouldn't kill us. Well, the show must go on. You have to go. You cannot disappear. We came in a big field, and I have seen in front of me doctors. I was just talking to them yesterday. Lawyers, bookkeepers, all intelligent people. And that was about 5 lines before me. And I have seen doctors, lawyers, bookkeepers, intelligent people left. Then I said to myself, no, I wouldn't say that my husband is a lawyer, and I wouldn't say that I used to help him in the office, but I told him, he came in to me and he said, what happens here? How many people have you got here? And I told him how many people we are. And I said, my husband and my father and my brother, they went to the airport at the Flugzeug, by the airplanes. They're mechanics and they are working over there. So he said, ach so, mach los von hier. To the rechts, to the right. And then I could say 2 more people said, we both said, and they came to his grandmother, and she fainted. And he said, Grandma, I told you, they wouldn't kill us. And then the baby survived. So when my father...
I have to ask you a question. Did you know if they said to the left, it would mean
The left
die?
was dead.
But you knew that when they said the word?
I had a feeling that rechts is all right. And you know why? Because I've seen people, but they said, I'm a tailor, I'm a shoemaker, I'm so on. So they gave the right side. And then I told him, and he said, what is mein Beruf? I told him I am a dressmaker. That the baby survived.
And then later, how long was it before you found out that the people who went to the left really did die?
The what?
When did you find out that the people who went to the left were killed?
Oh, the same night. They took him there in the Little Ghetto, what it was. And the next day, they took him there to the 7th port and they killed him. It was, I think, about 4,000 people or 5,000 people, I don't know. I couldn't remember exactly.
How would you know these things? I mean, you didn't have newspapers. How would you know your information?
Oh, how did you know? Bad news comes and good news comes. And before it used to be this election, some people used to come from the Christian people, and they used to come and tell us. And then we knew already. We knew, because they used to make several times, you know, to go out and to see how the public will work. Or they'll be going exactly the way it is, or they will fight. We couldn't fight, we didn't have any ammunition. How could we fight? And then was the big selection, when they took out about 10,000 people. And we were in that time too. So fortunately, I think that we had a little luck.
Let me go back to two things you said that I have questions about. First, when you told about your jobs, how did you get those jobs?
From Arbeitsamt. We had an Arbeitsamt, you know, people who are giving out the work in what brigade to go, or this one, or this one, or this one, or this one. And you have to have vitamin P. P means protection. And if you didn't have, you were lost.
So who was your protexia?
Well, I didn't have all the time. I didn't have. I had just a few times, but I could mingle around. You know, when you used to go out 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock, they used to take you out. So it happened that I had, for a couple of months, I had a very good brigade. I was working there by, I forgot, Wempe was his name. It was not too far from the airport. And there was a head, I think, the Waffenmeister. You know what, he used to have the, I couldn't remember. Weapons, you know. So we were working there. There was a good place. You used to run away. I could run away and get something. Used to take a dress or underwear or something and get something to eat. To get some potatoes. The main thing was potatoes and bread. That was the main that you could have.
And how would you get it? Would you walk into a
I used to run away from a work.
But tell me an example of one time when you went and how you got the bread or the potato.
That's what I said. I used to go into the farmers. I used to take off my David star, and I looked like a Christian. I didn't look like a Jewish woman. So I wasn't too afraid to go. And over there was a German that he didn't care as long come back to work. So they let us out for an hour. And at that time, you see, I could talk to the girl with whom I was talking, what she needs. If I didn't have, I could go to the people in ghetto who wants to get something, you know. So I used to take, you know, some clothes, and the girl used to come in already what we needed, and I didn't have to run. But that was only for a couple months.
And tell me one more time, did you go to like a market where there were farmers, or did you go to stores?
No, not to the store. It was at home, to the farmer's house. Where, you know, to the farmer's house where it wasn't, you know, occupied from the Germans. That's what it was.
And it sounds like you helped more people than just your family.
Do I have? I had?
When you traded things and you got food and you traded clothing and other things, you helped.
I used to give for the people. I used to give for the people, and then when it was left over, I used to take for myself. I asked them, like you go in a store right now, how much is it? So much and so much, all right? You used to give them to the farmer, and I used to tell them, look, I have to have so much and so much. And I used to give to the people what they asked me, and what it was left over, I used to have for myself. But then you have to watch that the guard at the ghetto should be a good one. And there was Jewish police too, not only German. And well, like I said, everywhere you go, you have to have the vitamin P protect. So I wasn't afraid for nothing. I used to go and who can explain the pain that you went through? No, nobody can, and nobody will believe that you can go through so much. Here is my foot from frozen. I didn't have the shoes. Frozen up. Survive. It's so many things that it is impossible to tell you. It is just I'm skipping from one place to the other. We used to take pills, my mother, shall she rest in peace. If we could get pills, you know, even where we used to go out and run, as I said, well, we got the pills for the pigs. I said, that's all right, give me, and we'll take. And the pills wasn't, you know, it was spilled heavy. We used to bring it home. My mother, shall she rest in peace, she used to wash up very good, clean. And she used to make cookies. You had some flour. It's not even flour. It was like not corn, I don't know what it was. And she used to mix it up and to bake and make, you know, the cookies. And when people, you know, bankiers used to come in to see us, to see my father, my husband's father. And they didn't have nothing. So my mother used to take out a few of them and give it to them. He said, no, I cannot take from you. You got a little child here. She said, please stay. From bankiers, professors, it is just unbelievable what it happened to the people there in Ghetto.
Tell me about what happened after this small selection.
After that selection, when my father came, he said, if we wouldn't find nobody from the family, you know, he said, I go kill myself too. It's no use to live any longer. And easy, all of them agree the same thing. But when they came home early in the morning and they found us, I tell you something, it's hard to describe the feeling when you found each other. And then was a big selection too. It was, you know, well, I told you already. There. I don't know. In 1943, that was the roughest time in my life. As long as I had my people, I could go on and live. But in 1943, the 28th of October, they ran into our house and they took away the whole family. They had to have about 2,000 people for Estland, Estonia. And that was that you have to have right away. So the people didn't go, everybody was hiding. And I didn't know. I didn't know that they go take my family. And what they were looking for a big family. Instead to go from house to house and take one person or two. So they were taking big families. So they took my mother and father and my two brothers and my sister. And since then, I didn't see them. My father and brother, both brothers got killed in Stutthof, and my mother with my sister got killed in Estonia. And you said light.
And where were you when this happened?
Ah,
Did you see them get taken away?
I had seen I couldn't do nothing. I didn't know that they will come in. If not, I would hide somebody. In cellar or somewhere I would cover up, or somewhere on the attic. But I didn't know. That was all of a sudden. It happened. There. Then it used to come to the children's. So when I lost them, I didn't know. Yeah. I said to myself, it's coming up a selection, the children. They were taking out from Shavuot. That's what we used to hear the news, that they took already the children away. They used to kill them, take the blood out, and send for the soldiers there where they were fighting, you know. I said to Izzy, I said, Izzy, what we should do? Maybe I should give Jay, maybe we had some farmers, you know, there, but they used to, but we knew they are fine people. And then he just said, no, if Jay will go, we'll go with him. When my husband was working on the airport, there was people who used to come from the little villages. And my husband found out about my uncle, or he knew him. Oh, he said, Itzka. Oh, yes, that's my neighbor. We know him. We are hiding him. He never been in ghetto. But he was in 87 places. And he said, I'll give him, so my husband wrote him a little note. He found out, and he said, I'll give it to Itzka. That's the way in Lithuanian they used to call Itzka. And after that, I had a connection with my uncle, the same farmer, but he used to be across. I knew him. He got in contact with me, and I used to send him some clothes for the farmer what he needs, and I said, please try to help him out, give him what he needs. And they used to help him out. When at night, he used to go at night and go to the farmers, and the farmer used to give him bread and milk and whatever they used to have. So he used to have for a week or for 3 days or 4 days, and then at night he used to go again. And then I said, after when I lost everybody, that was in October the 28th, 1943, I said, wait a moment, maybe I'll get in contact with my uncle. I used to go there. I forgot the place, but I used to shuffle coal used to come in. And we used to shuffle the coal. 4 or 5 women sometimes, and you have to finish, you know, what do you call it? A wagon. I used to run away, finish my job, and I used to run away, and he used to bring me butter, one time cheese, and bread, and I used to bring him something. So the last time when I was there, I wrote a letter to my uncle, and I told him what had happened. And I said I would like to save my Jay, if it's possible, if it's 3 of us. Then the farmer came in, and I was there, you know, on the job, shuffled the coal, and ran away to him, and he said, be ready for that and that day. I'll be here, and I'll pick you up, and I'll take you to him. His name was Martinez. And he came with his my husband got a cousin, and he helped us. He cut the wires from the ghetto. That was 4 o'clock in the morning. And we used to watch on which side the guard is going. So if he's already far away, then we took Jay, and we told him he should be quiet and go across the street and wait over there. He was waiting for an hour until we could go out. He didn't cry, he didn't say anything, because we told him what will happen if he'll cry or ask. And then came the moment we got out, and the farmer came in, and we put in Jay in that wagon where he was, and on top of that, we put up some straw. So Jay was hiding under the straw. And myself, my husband, and Martinez, and myself, we were sitting in front. I took his coat, and I gave it to my husband. And my husband's coat, I gave it to the farmer. And I had a little coat, but only, you know, the farmers are wearing. Velvet, black velvet, and a scarf. And we drove up about 25 miles, that was Petroshun, and they stopped us. And I said, here we are in trouble. And you know what they asked us? If we have cochinias, if we do have some eggs to sell it. I said, no, we don't have nothing, we are going home. The day was raining, pouring. It was terrible. And here we see that the military, the German.
Should we
We
stop
have to
it?
take a break. I need
Yeah.
to change.
We have to put on a new tape.
Oh.
So we'll rest and start again as he changes.